Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Kristen and today is a new pen day. It's also a new ink day, but the main reason for this purchase was for a very specific fountain pen. So let's dig in. This is Colorverse, a Korea special ink called Horizon. It is a very gorgeous yellow, greenish yellow ink. And I have a sample of this ink in my new Pilot Vanishing Point Decimo. And it's just, oh, it's so good. I had to have a bottle of it. And this is Van Diemen's Kitten Paws. I recently tested this ink in my June 30 Inks 30 Days sprint. And so now I have a full bottle because it's just so good. And here is Van Diemen's Aria and Van Diemen's Lost Love Letters. I've got samples of those two. I believe these are newly released inks, and so I really wanted to try these two samples. But the star of the show is a Franklin-Christoph fountain pen. It is a Model 2 fountain pen. And this is the Vanness pen's exclusive finish. Oh my gosh. It looks so good. Oh, this looks so good. So I was debating whether or not to film a video on this one because it is another Franklin-Christoph fountain pen, but it is the Vanness exclusive acrylic that I am really, really happy to have in my collection. I mentioned in my 8-pen questions video that my grail pen, or one of my grail pens, is the Vanness exclusive Franklin-Christoph Model 45. But in reality, I think this is even better. I believe that the Franklin-Christoph Model 2 is probably my favorite Franklin-Christoph model, just because it is a full-size pen. It's got a number 6 nib and it posts deeply and it just looks so gorgeous when it's posted. I love how this pen looks once it's posted. And this is like one of my favorite colors for fountain pens and fountain pen inks. And so I believe that this is probably the grail pen that I needed. I no longer need to have, oh, that's cute, it's got a little V right there. So I'm no longer looking for the Model 45 in the Vanness exclusive material, because this is just so much better. Oh, it just looks so good. And I got this fountain pen with a broad nib. It's just a regular broad nib, but I already have a plan for this one. I purchased a double broad SIG nib. Oh, one of my favorite grinds from Franklin-Christoph. And I'm going to put that nib unit into this fountain pen. Yes, this is the one. Yep. So this is my double broad SIG nib. So what I need to do is just go ahead and remove that from the pen. Oh, I love the look and the feel of these Franklin-Christoph acrylic pens. Their translucent acrylic pens are just so good. And now I've got my, my double broad SIG nib in my new Franklin-Christoph pen. Oh, yay. This is perfection. This is perfect. Oh yeah, this makes me happy. Oh, it's just new and it's so, oh, it looks so good. This looks so, so good. I'm really happy about this. I'm going to put all these to the side. Let's take a look at some ink swatches that would work well with this fountain pen. This is Cat's Eye Nebula by Colorverse. It's got a nice shimmer. Venta Inks Sirena. Oh, Venta Inks Carnival is nice. It's a little bit greener than I would prefer. So let's move on to more of the tealy greens. Here is Pelikan Edelstein Jade. That's a nice one. It looks to be a little bit more blue still. Lamy Tourmaline, slightly more blue, but still a pretty good match. Oh, I figured. This is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the two of these together. Diamond Blue Peppermint with the Vanness pen's fountain pen. And I figured that it would be just a wonderful match. And I think this might be the first thing that I use in this fountain pen. Especially with this double broad SIG nib. I would love to see that in here. And I know that Diamond Blue Peppermint has a blue shimmer here, but I didn't realize that when I made this swatch. So I think I'd like to do that right now. I'll go ahead and ink it up with Diamond Blue Peppermint. Oh, before I do that, let's take a look at some other ones. Here's Kujaku. Oh, that might be a nice one too. Kuretake Meiji no Iro Kurogane Iro. Robert Oster Deep Sea It's pretty cool. And a lot of these are more blue. Colorverse Alpha Virgo. Yeah, so all of these are pretty blue. And I think they would still be kind of nice to put in this fountain pen. I think they're still really good candidates. I think I would also enjoy having, yes, something like this, giving some really nice contrast with the fountain pen. Le Bon Zeus, Platinum Lavender Black, Roar and Cleaner Alt Bordeaux. Sailor Yurameku Date Kokoro would be really nice as well. KWZ Brown Pink. Oh wow, look at that. Van Diemen's Mad Half Hour. I think that would be perfect because the shimmer in this ink looks like it just matches so perfectly with the pen, and the ink color is just a nice complement as well. But it's a pretty dry ink, so I would have to see. I don't know. This would not be my first choice. I would definitely go for Diamine Blue Peppermint before this one, but I'm willing to try it out again in this fountain pen, especially since it's a double broad SIG nib. Grape Ice Pop by Ferris Wheel Press. Oh, that's cool. Diamine Tranquility. Maybe I might consider doing something like wearing gold Captain Hook in this fountain pen, but I'm not too sure. Or would I prefer something more along the lines of a peachy pink like Van Diemen's Tassie Salmon, Kosumosu by Iroshizuku. Yeah, I think there were some really great options in my swatches, but I am still sold on Diamine Blue Peppermint. Okay, so now that I have had some time to calm down from my initial excitement of receiving this fountain pen, let's do some size comparisons. It just looks so good. Now I'm going to bring out all of my Franklin-Christoph fountain pens so you can see them together. So these are all of my Franklin-Christoph fountain pens. So this model 45 is in lavender, and it's got a fine cursive italic nib. Here is my model 46. It has an extra fine SIG nib. My newest Model 2 now has a double broad SIG nib, and I am so excited about this thing. I'm so excited about this. This is my Model 2 in Primary Manipulation 1 and Ice with the matte finish. It has a broad SIG nib. Here's my Model 3 in Antique Glass. It has a fine SIG nib. This is my other Model 3 in Lemon Yellow and Amber Swirl. It's got a medium SIG nib on this one. This is my Model P20 or Pocket 20, and it is in the blue, gray, white sparkle material. It has an extra fine SIG nib. I initially thought that this was a number 5 nib just because of the height, but it's actually a number 6 nib. It's in the set, in the section. So it is a nice little, it is a cute little pocket pen with a number 6 nib. So these are all of my Franklin-Christoph fountain pens. These are the 2 pocket pens or small Franklin-Christoph fountain pens that I have in my collection. And these are the full-size pens that I have in my collection. So the Model 2 fountain pens are pretty tall. Let's see what they look like uncapped. All right, so here they are, all uncapped. The Model 2 is still taller than the Model 46 as well as the Model 3 fountain pens. Now, taking a look at them posted is going to be a different story. None of them post as deeply as the Model 2, and this is what I absolutely love about this pen. So even though the Model 3 is shorter in my hands, I still love the look and the feel of this pen, the Model 2, when it's posted. Yeah. I really enjoy the look of these fountain pens. The translucent or even almost nearly transparent look of these materials. They just, oh, they look so good. But this is my favorite. The translucent material here and just the way that it all looks. I love the machined look of these pens, how nicely they've been finished on the finials, as well as the threads. I just like how it looks. I really like how they look. Okay, so now that I've shown you all of my Franklin-Christoph fountain pens, I want to bring in a few more fountain pens to give you a better sense of scale for these pens. I'll leave this Model 2 here. I'll leave the Model 46 here. as well as a Model 3. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to bring over is my TWSBI Eco. The TWSBI Eco is slightly shorter than the Model 2. It's around the same size as a Franklin-Christoph Model 3. Let me bring in an Esterbrook SD, which is about the same height as the Model 2 fountain pen. I'm going to bring over a Benu Euphoria, just because I have that one on hand from the June 2024 30 Inks 30 Days. It is taller than the Model 2, but it gives me the same sense of scale, I guess. It's kind of large without being too large. It does feel a little bit more substantial when I post the pen. The cap does give it a little bit more weight, but it is not back heavy. Most of the weight that I feel with this pen being posted is right here in the crook of my hand. So it is very nicely balanced in my hand. Yeah, nicely balanced. And I'll bring one more fountain pen over here. This is the Sailor 1911 Large. It is shorter than the Franklin-Christoph Model 2. And just because I love these machined pens, these pens that have this very streamlined shape, I am just really fond of them. So this is my Shown Design full-size fountain pen in the Pico material. This is what I like about Franklin-Christoph fountain pens. The really lovely colors of each of these acrylic materials, as well as the very high quality machining that goes into making each one of these fountain pen models. This is home right here for me. So here is my extra fine SIG. This is my fine SIG nib. This is my medium SIG nib. This has a broad SIG nib. And this has a double broad SIG nib. This is what makes me happy. Speaking of colors, I really just wanted to bring out all of my fountain pens that are pretty similar to this color right here. All right, so here is the Vanness exclusive finish. I'm going to bring this one back out because it is somewhat similar. This is the antique glass. Here's my Santini Libra in the 5th Avenue material. This is my Aurora 88 Birth of Turin. It's a Chatterley Luxuries exclusive fountain pen. And look at this. It's a Dragon Palace Sailor Pro Gear Slim. And, well, it's mainly the section of this fountain pen, but this is the Sailor Shikiori Minori fountain pen. That kind of fits in pretty well with these colors. This is my Moonman Wankai Mini fountain pen. And here is my Pilot Kakuno in the transparent aqua finish. This was the one that I was really I saw this one in person and I was like, this is the color that I've been looking for. I wanted that Franklin-Christoph Model 45, and this was like that perfect color and the perfect size for me. And so I was like, you know what, this will do. This will do just fine. But then I came across this fountain pen and now it's like, oh wow, look at how close they are to each other. That is pretty cool. Here are all of the fountain pens in my collection. I mean, there are more. There are a couple more fountain pens that kind of hint in this direction. So this is my Mother of Pearl, Leonardo Momento Zero Grande. Oh, it's freshly inked too. It's got a medium architect nib on here. So yeah, I am very fond of this tealish aqua color or mint blue color. So this is my mint blue collection. I don't even know what to call it. What would you call this color? This very specific color. Okay, so now that we've seen those and we've seen some size comparisons as well as this size comparison and color comparison, I want to test out this fountain pen on some Tomoe River paper. Nice. It feels really nice. I love the SIG nib. It looks so very good. I don't know if I can see any of the blue shimmer here, but then again, I think that this shimmer is more of like a bluish glow. It doesn't look like individual shimmer particles like you would see in some inks. Van Diemen's shimmer inks, for example, have pretty large shimmer particles, but this particular one, Diamond Blue Peppermint, has more of a subtle, very fine-grained shimmer, and so it looks more like a haze or fog on top of your inks. So I want to go ahead and do a comparison with some other fountain pens as well. This is an extra fine SIG nib, so it's going to be pretty stark difference between these two fountain pens. Yeah, there's definitely more feedback. It feels a bit sharper by comparison. I actually can post this one. I prefer to post it because it feels almost too short in my hands here. So most of my other Franklin-Christoph fountain pens, I actually don't post them, but this one actually feels a little bit more comfortable when I post this pen. It does look kind of weird, but it feels much better when I post the pen. These inks are just gorgeous. Oh, they look so good. There is feathering with this third ink, Pilot Iroshizuku Murasaki Shikibu. This fine cursive italic actually feels smoother than the extra fine SIG nib. Well, I wish I had the fine SIG nib inked up, but I don't have that one inked up. This one feels a bit smoother, but it could also be the fact that this is a fine nib and this was ground from an extra fine nib. So there is less of the nib that is actually touching the page, and so it's going to feel a bit sharper. It's going to feel a bit more extreme. But this right here, this double broad SIG nib is just buttery smooth. It is super wet. It is a beautiful combination, and I am so happy that I have this pen. I'm so happy that I have this nib grind. I don't think I could be any happier with that right there. These are really good fountain pens, and they just match so well with all three of these inks. All right, so this concludes my unboxing for a Grail pen that I didn't even know that I needed in my collection, but it is so very welcome. I am very happy with the finish, with the color of the pen. I'm very happy with this double broad SIG nib that I already had waiting on this pen, and I didn't even know that I was waiting for this pen, but it is a perfect match. What else can I say? It's so good. I'm so happy. I'm very happy that I kept missing out on the Model 45. I believe that this Model 2 is an even better match for me. The size of this pen is just, oh, it's so good. I like the larger size fountain pens because this one right here, I still would have been happy even if it was this size fountain pen, but in this color, it is a gorgeous pen. This is a really nice pen, but I think that the fact this is a number 6 nib and it just looks so cute when it's posted. I just love how this looks and how it feels in my hands. And so having this model come out in the Vanness exclusive material is just, that was perfection for me. This is perfection for me. I'm so happy with that pen. I'm so happy with the Franklin-Christoph fountain pens that I have in my collection. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.